What is up, everyone? This weekend I participated in a super stacked open Great League tournament. There were 15 total participants, and out of those, like 6 or 7 have frequented regional top cuts, including 3 players from the Stuttgart top 8, which was a regional held just a couple weeks ago. So some incredible players here. To be honest, I wasn't expecting much going into this tournament, but I managed to get quite far. So I'll be showing you all my battles today. My first round is already looking to be quite tough, as I'm faced off against Stone Collection, the player who knocked me out of Stuttgart Regionals top 8 just a few weeks prior. So I'm very excited for this match, hungry for my revenge, but it's not gonna be easy for sure. I'll be running a team with AZUMARILL Shadow, Alolan Sandslash running Shadow Claw, Shadow Gligar, Charjabug, Shadow Poliwrath running Scald and Icy Wind, and Lickitung. This is a team I pretty much stole from Rise to the Occasion. He ran a very similar line in his run at San Antonio Regionals. I just switched out his Guzzlord for Lickitung, as I figured it would make the line a lot stronger versus Skeledirge and AZUMARILL. Stone Collection is running a team with Shadow Dragonair, AZUMARILL, Medicham with Dynamic Punch, Watergun Lantern, Lickitung, and Cresselia. First sight, this team is quite weak to Lickitung. No really hard answers to it besides that Medicham, but if I have shields up, that's still like a decent matchup. Charjabug also looking very nice, just to worry about Dragonair and Lickitung really. Poliwrath does have 3 answers here, but happens to pair very well with that Charjabug. And then Shadow Alolan Sandslash really only has to worry about that Medicham. And that Lickitung is not great as well, of course, as I'm running a Shadow Claw, but it's like a doable matchup. So in round number 1, I decided to play a very safe lead with Lickitung, as there's pretty much nothing I really lose to, and I end up picking up a Cresselia lead there, which is great well, it's fine for Lickitung. Lickitung can actually lose that. But it's fine enough, so Stone decides to switch out into Lantern. I decided to instant switch into Alolan Sandslash. I could have stayed in with Lickitung versus Lantern and try to force switch with Lickitung, so I would have Alolan Sandslash aligned to the Cresselia later. However, I figured that since it's a Cresselia lead, there's likely going to be a very good Alolan Sandslash answer in the back, like a Medicham, and in that case, I found it was better to just use my Alolan Sandslash here, just in case my Lickitung would somehow lose switch versus the Lantern, of course. And I know since it's a Watergun Lantern, Shadow Alolan Sandslash also is a very comfortable matchup here versus Lantern. So I end up just using both my shields, winning the 2-shield scenario, and gaining switch advantage, which allows me to now align my Lickitung onto this AZUMARILL and Charjabug onto the Cresselia. Charjabug has a little bit more of a consistent matchup versus Cresselia than Lickitung, so this is why I decided not to align the Charjabug to the AZUMARILL and instead put Lickitung on it earlier. Cresselia, I think this is a Future Sight variant. Oh no, it's Moonblast. That's actually worse for me, because they will get to 2 Moonblasts quicker than to 2 Future Sights, which I don't think Future Sight Grassland would have been enough, so that is what he would have needed to go for if it was Future Sight Cresselia. Now, I believe he reaches... No, it's just a Grass Knot. Yeah, this is great. Charjabug takes that matchup. If the Cresselia would have knocked me out at that point, maybe the AZUMARILL would have had some play versus the Lickitung, but probably not, as it needs to get to like 3 charge attacks to win this matchup at this point. But yeah, it's not gonna get there. I already have some energy on Lickitung, being able to fire off the first Power Whip right now, and unless we lag out or something, I should be looking pretty fine here. AZUMARILL firing off a charge attack. Play rough, yeah, it doesn't really do too much. AZUMARILL honestly was extremely good in this tournament for me, like extremely good. I think it's definitely one of the best Pokemon in the meta right now, but when faced off against a Lickitung, yeah, you don't really feel that great. That was game number 1, GG. In game number 2, I think I end up running a very similar line, maybe a bit safer into the Medicham, because with Shadow Alolan Sandslash, you are always worried in ending up in that matchup. So I decided to bring Poliwrath instead, even though it is like super weak to Azu and Cresselia, which he brought in game number 1. I figured he wouldn't bring both of those again and instead go with like his own Lickitung, which I was correct. Unfortunately though, I end up getting my Lickitung on his Lickitung, and this is not great. I really wanted to lure something else out, maybe the Medicham here with my Lickitung, and then get my Poliwrath aligned to the Watergun Lantern and the Lickitung in the back. That is what was my expectation, but maybe it's not even Medicham. If it's Medicham now, I am definitely in trouble, but if it's anything else, I could be alright. Even if it's Cress or AZUMARILL, Poliwrath still has a lot of play there. Honestly, even into Medicham, Poliwrath has a lot of play. Alright, we're just gonna keep firing off these body slams now. Already put his Lickitung into the red. He chipped me a bit with Water Grunts, which puts me in a range where he should be able to flip switch. Actually, he's gonna bring in Lantern. Yeah, I think I would have gone to the Body Slam there and knocked him out. So I think I was gonna get switch. But yeah, now that he's fired off the serve and I saved that Body Slam, I can bring in Polar Wrath or Shield, one Thunderbolt there, or Charge Attack. I believe he serve spades. Yeah, he does. Which is unfortunate. Allows him to get to another serve right now. Not great. Definitely not great. But I can take it just fine. And we can counter down. Come out of this matchup with an Icy Wind. What does he bring in? It's AZUMARILL. And this is not great, as AZUMARILL, of course, resists every single attack my Polar Wrath can throw. But I'm also resisting bubbles. They have to throw a player off to knock me out, so this might not be too bad. And counters are definitely adding up. A Scald would do a lot, so Stone actually decides to shoot the first attack there. Just gonna keep firing off these Scalds now. Look at that. We brought the AZUMARILL into like 60% already. Few more counters, and it's gonna be in the yellow. Let this go at this point. Polar Wrath has done its job, chipped the AZUMARILL, dropped its attack, and now I can bring in Charger Buck, which is still very healthy. Go for the X-Scissor versus Lickitung. Still have a shield as well. That AZUMARILL has a little energy, but I have a shield to use it later. Take his shield with an X-Scissor. Still had a Body Slam loaded on the Lickitung. This is why I saved the Body Slam earlier. Take out his Lickitung. AZUMARILL also gonna get a farm down here though, so this is still gonna be a little scary. If you can get to like several attacks, that could be pretty bad, but I still have a shield. He needs like 2. I'm gonna let the first one go, and now this charge should be enough to knock out. So even though this like position was not entirely favorable for me with the Polar Wrath onto the AZUMARILL especially, Charger Buck was just so strong into Stone's team that it was able to sweep right there. GG. Next up, I'm up versus another pretty good player, Snailmon23, who just like Stone Collection has actually beaten me before at a tournament. In Snailmon's case, it was at the EU International Championships in 2023, where he took me out in one of the winners' rounds. But then I did manage to get my revenge in that very same tournament, I believe in the losers finals, when I beat him. So this match, pretty much a tiebreaker, pretty exciting. He's running a team with Mantine, Lickitung, Metachan, Swampert, Registeel, and Frostlass. Not a great line for me. I said Swampert does look pretty free. I really only have 2 counters, Lickitung and Poliwrath, both of which still take a lot of damage from an Earthquake in Poliwrath's case or Hydro Cannons in Lickitung's case, so a Swampert with energy could be very dangerous. And then that Frostlass is kind of scary as well, since I don't really have great answers for it besides that Alolan Sandslash, which is scary to bring into a line with Metacham and Lickitung. So I think my Charger Buck is looking very good though, so that is what I'm gonna try to rely on here. And in game number 1, I pick up a mirror lead here with my Lickitung. Yeah, Lickitung looks kind of safe as well, and I figured that the only bad lead I could get was Registeel. And if it was Registeel, I also figured that Charger Buck would be a very good pivot, as Registeel lead with Swampert in the back, which is like the only thing I'm worried about with Charger Buck pivot, is kind of not so sensible, as that would pretty much instant lose versus a Poliwrath in the lead. That would be very difficult for him to come back from. So I figured if I would lead my Lickitung into Registeel, I could just pivot Charger Buck and probably be fine. Luckily though, we don't end up picking that up anyway, and it's a Lickitung mirror. This is still not great for me though, because I am expecting answers to that Poliwrath in the back. Either Mantine or Metacham. Either one of which my Poliwrath 3 doesn't do that well against. So I want switch here, but my Lickitung is very low attack. I'm assuming I lose CMP. I'm pretty sure we already saw that I lost CMP. So I decide to just over farm here. Shield up his Body Slam, farm up to right before I get to 2 and he gets to another one. Throw his Body Slam into his Lickitung and just hope he gives up switch. And he does. He does give up switch. Brings in Frostlass versus my Lickitung. I can power whip this. This way I take a shield or bring the Frostlass into a fast, attackable down range, if that's even a word. I bring in Poliwrath here, which might seem odd, since I'm throwing resisted counters versus the neutral volt switches I could do with my Charger Buck, but I am expecting something weak to Charger Buck in the back and something strong as Poliwrath. And I was correct in this read, as it does end up being that Metacham in the back, and that just makes me very happy. I can now Icy Wind it. Attack is dropped, and now Charger Buck is looking pretty primed to sweep. Had I brought in the Charger Buck versus Frostlass there, I would have likely lost the game. But reading that there's likely gonna be a very hard Poliwrath answer in the back, like that Metacham or that Mantine, also seems another possibility. And saving my Charger Buck for it is what ultimately is probably gonna win me this game, I think. This Metachamp is still gonna get to another couple charge decks, or at least one more, I believe. Actually, no, if I throw my attack here, I should be fine. Frostlass still healthy though, but not healthy enough to get to like 3 attacks at this point. I was fine. I was expecting this sketch, but I was totally fine with it. Just get rid of the Frostlass, and I should still be able to outpace the Metachamp to 2 attacks. Yeah, you get another Ice Punch here. Metachamp, actually surprisingly close matchup versus Charjabug, even with Dynamic Punch, Ice Punch. Metachamp is still just such a beast. But because I debuffed them earlier with the Icy Wind, Charjabug easily able to take this, and we take game number 1, GG. Game number 2, pick up a pretty bad lead. Actually ran the same 3 here, just different lead. And this time I lead Poliwrath into a Metachamp. Pretty bad. But this time I pivot Lickitung. And normally I wouldn't recommend pivoting Lickitung into a team with Registeel. Because Registeel is such a hard answer to Lickitung that they can come out of that matchup with like a charge deck loaded. Which nothing on my team wants to take. However, with the Metachamp lead, I am not expecting a Registeel in the back, because that would be awfully weak to a Gligar lead, you know, or even Charjabug. Oh, less so to Charjabug, but if I let Gligar into Metachamp and there's a Registeel in the back, it's game over for my opponent. And generally, these like opponents that I know are pretty high level, I expect them to run lines that at least make some sense. So I figured Lickitung save switch will be safe, as there's unlikely to be a Registeel in the back. And I was correct here, brings in his own Lickitung instead, which is fine. Actually just tried catching a Body Slam on my Poliwrath there, unfortunately I was 1 lick too late. Still, this is fine. I just let my Lickitung go down, get a farm down with my Poliwrath. I want to save shield for Charjabug at this point. Because I'm expecting that's gonna be my win con. Like, the only way to win is with Charjabug. You can still get a Scald off on this Metachamp as well, which is just huge. Get the attack drop as well, which is awesome. They now switch out into Frostlass, and generally this is not a good matchup for Charjabug. So Frostlass does outpace if you go for straight discharge. If you go for Excess or Base, I'm pretty sure you can outpace even on even energy, because then it's 1 less Volt Switch, you get to 3 attacks. But I figured baiting was too risky. Now with this energy lead, I should be able to go straight discharge and outpace this Frostlass to 3 attacks before they get to 3 attacks. And the discharge with the added Volt Switch damage should probably knock out. We're gonna shoot up everything this Frostlass throws at me, because it would do a lot of damage. Gotta watch out for potential catch from a Metachamp though, but luckily timer is not up for my opponent just yet, so I can freely just go for this discharge right here. Knock out the Frostlass. Now it's hoping I can also take out the Metachamp though. I should be able to reach an attack here. Ice Punch, Dynamic Punch will do a lot of damage. Ice Punch comes out, doesn't do enough though. And I reach the exit here before my opponent is able to reach another attack. And my Charjabug sweeps this game. GG there. So a bad lead, but because I read the team comp appropriately and strategized for it, I was able to take the win there. GG. In round 3, I'm up versus my friend Triptondo, who's always bringing something interesting to this tournament. This time he's brought Jellicent, which is an interesting core breaker in this current meta and can beat 3 of my Pokemon, Azumarill, Poliwrath, and Shadow Gligar, but luckily my other 3 do very good against it, so it's not too worrying. Team overall, I think I have a very positive matchup against the squad is Shadow Poliwrath, Lickitung, Shadow Gligar, Jellicent, Clodsire, running Stone Edge, Earthquake, and Gustlord. So 4 of these Pokemon lose to my Azumarill, and I really only have to worry about Lickitung and Jellicent with it, and Azumarill still has a lot of play versus Jellicent, so Azumarill is looking very strong. Just have to pair it with Pokemon that do very well versus Lickitung and Jellicent, which could either be my own Charjabug, my Lickitung, or my Shadow Alolan Sandslash, which all 3 do very fine versus Jellicent and Lickitung core. However, I also think my Gligar is looking super solid, especially in combination with Azumarill. Only really Jellicent can beat both, but they both have enough play versus Jellicent to where I could run them both in like an ABB or ABA style and be fine to just play around Jellicent. And that is what I'm going to do in game number 1. Lead the Azumarill, Gligar in the back, kind of an ABB team or ABA team where I'm front and back weak to Jellicent. But since Azumarill is a close enough matchup to Jellicent, Jellicent really can't beat both. So that's why I played it like this. No Jellicent lead for me though. Instead, I pick up a very good lead with Azumarill to Gligar. Trip switches into the Lickitung. It would be very easy to keep switch advantage here if I bring out my Lickitung versus his Lickitung, but I'm expecting Jellicent in the back. So I decided to stay in with Azu, throw a Play Rough, then bring out Gligar. I figured I would still be able to maintain switch advantage here, and then I'd get my Azumarill onto his Gligar and my Lickitung to Jellicent. Just easy win the game. But I way overestimated Gligar's ability here to keep switch. One Body Slam already did so much. My opponent shielded the dig, puts me in a bad spot. Get to another Aerial Ace now. Gonna get the final shield. But this is still not looking too good here. Unfortunately, I just barely miss out on that Aerial Ace. Trip is going to be able to take out my Gligar here, take switch, and now I just need to hope I can farm down this Lickitung with Azumarill before he gets to a power-up. There's a Body Slam, which I think it is. It should still be fine, but it does put me close to a range where a Shadow Ball will knock out. Not quite yet. I think a Shadow Ball does like 35%-ish, so he's going to need a few more hexes, but he's getting close. And like I expected, it is the Jellicent in the back. So I am happy I kept that Lickitung for it. But since I don't have switch now, it's definitely not ideal. Trip hits a Surf there before switching into Gligar. I think that is quite smart, as that will now put me in a range where Dig plus an Aerial Ace will be able to knock out my Lickitung. Gonna go for the Body Slam, Gligar. The tables have actually turned now. The tables have turned. And now it's up for my Lickitung to beat his Gligar. I don't think Body Slam will quite be enough, so I throw for Power Up, which just does slightly more damage. I throw it right before the Aerial Ace, really hoping it knocks out, and it does. This puts me in a great spot now, so my Lickitung will be able to lick the Jellicent into a range where a Play Rough should be enough to knock out. I force him to throw a Surf. I was almost considering trying to catch that Surf on Azumarill, but I figured that's too risky. We're just gonna let Lickitung go down, bring out Azumarill, Trip, throws the Shadow Ball on charge deck priority with Azumarill, getting the maximum amount of hex damage in, but Azumarill, too thick, takes the Shadow Ball, gets off the Play Rough, and wins this game. Azumarill is back, everyone. It is definitely back. Look at that poke. GG in game number 1. Game number 2. He was very weak to a lot of the Head Slash, so I figured I'd lead it this time with an Azumarill on the back. This is probably the worst lead I could have seen. I may have even preferred Poliwrath here. Maybe not Poliwrath, but this is pretty bad because Lickitung, even though I do win zeros here, Lickitung can win ones here and come out with a lot of energy, and I have nowhere really to eat the energy. Probably Charge Bug is best, but it's still not great. On the other hand though, if I gain a shield advantage, Azumarill likely just sweeps the back, so this is probably pretty good actually for me thinking about it. But in the moment, I didn't feel too great about this lead if he used a shield, but looking at it now, even if he uses a shield here, my Azumarill likely just sweeps. So it's probably a fine lead for me. Yeah, Trip actually decides to no shield that, knowing that there's going to be Azumarill for me in the back, and that with a shield up, it would probably sweep his line, so makes sense. Out comes Gligar now, which I can counter with Azumarill. This is likely going to be a dig, so I'm going to shield it up, expecting this to probably be one of the hardest hitting moves left in the game. Out comes Jellicent now. I bring out Charge Bug, which shield down is like not the greatest versus Jellicent, but it's definitely fine enough. I'm gonna no shit the Shadow Ball. Just want to keep shields for Azu now. Though, maybe I should have shielded that, as I'm actually gonna shield the next Surf. The thing is though, if I shield the first attack, I am shields down, he still has 2 shields. At that point, he can decide to just let Jellicent go down and go for a 2 shield Gligar sweep, which may have worked out for him. But since I didn't shoot that Shadow Ball, I've kind of forced him to shield, because he needs shields down for his Gligar to do more work for his Maazu. And now we're both shields down, right? So I'm looking very good now. I can just throw his Play Rough, make sure to wait a turn so he can't catch. Take out the Jellicent, and Azumarill is still so healthy. Even if he has 2 Extort at this point, I don't think I'd get knocked out. Maybe barely, but it would be close. He doesn't have that much energy though, so I just get to the Ice Beam, take out that Gligar, and we have another 2-0 win. We head into round number 4. By the way, how this tournament worked, we were with 15 players, which means that we have a 4-round Swiss tournament first, and in Swiss tournament, everyone just plays 4 rounds. And then the 4 players with the best record move on to a 4-player single elimination top cut. Even if I were to lose round number 4, there's still a chance I move on to top cut, as alongside the undefeated player from the Swiss rounds, also some of the 3-1 players move on as well. But of course, I'm going for that win. In this final round of Swiss, I'm up versus 7WS7, or Wes, who just like me is currently undefeated, and he had to play some insane players to get here. He beat both Colin and Inadequance, who I think were the 2 best players heading into this tournament, and in my eyes, honestly, probably the 2 best players in Europe right now, and Wes beat them both back to back, which is just insane. Maybe a little scared to face him, especially looking at his team as well. That Skeledirge and AZUMARILL combination is kind of scary for me. I do have Lickitung for that, but he also has 2 great answers, 2 Lickitung in Shadow Poliwrath and Guzzlord. I do like the way my Gligar's looking here, though. Really only has to worry about that AZUMARILL, which I do have some play against. And then Charjabug looks pretty okay too, because it really only has to worry about Skeledirge. Then in combination with an answer to that Skeledirge, like Lickitung or AZUMARILL, I should be looking okay. In game number 1, I do decide to go with a Charjabug Gligar combination, paired with AZUMARILL for that Guzzlord coverage, and end up picking up an incredible lead with Charjabug into his Poliwrath, and he decides to switch into his own Charjabug, which I do have my Gligar for. Is a pretty comfortable matchup for Gligar. I'm just gonna go straight dig here. West decides to shield that up. That's fine. You know, Gligar can take these X-Scissors for days and fire off digs, like a lot of them. So pretty good here. Though my Gligar's pretty bad. It's a pretty bad IV. It's a really bad IV actually. And I'm kind of worried that if he shields his dig, he's able to Volt Switch down. But luckily he shielded up. I'm actually not sure if he was able to do that though. I think that might have still been impossible, to be honest. Also, notice how he had a Poliwrath lead, and my team is triple strong against Poliwrath. So I didn't really even need switch there. I could have really let my Gligar go, but because I was expecting good AZUMARILL answer in the back, like Cresselia, actually that was like the only one left, so Cresselia is what I was expecting, I decide it's worth to keep switch so I can get Charjabug aligned to the Cresselia. And that's what I do here. Oh, even get a full switch through here, which is nice. This point, I'm also hoping to keep my AZUMARILL hidden. These matches are all best of 3s, so you ideally don't want to show your Furrow line in game number 1. You know, keep as much information to yourself as you can, which is why I X-Scissor baited. It was kind of a risky bait. It didn't really make sense. If he no-shielded that, it would have been a little tougher for me to win, but I would have still won. So I figured I may as well bait, because if I get that bait, I'm able to keep my 3rd hidden, which is, in the end, it's possible for me, because I keep information away from him, from what I like to run. Anyway, next game, switch it up a little, bring Lickitung and AZUMARILL this time. I was very surprised. He did not bring Skeledirge, to be honest, and I figured he may bring it now, since the Charjabug put in a lot of work. So I decided to go with both AZUMARILL and Lickitung, as well as Gligar, my 3 best answers to that Skeledirge. Unfortunately, bad lead for me though, with their Charjabug into my AZUMARILL, switching to my Lickitung. Out comes Guzzlord now. And the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize about this Guzzlord-Lickitung matchup, is that if you are running a very, very good Lickitung, they actually have the Brutal Swing to knock you out, if you have a little bit of energy. Wes went for a second Dragon Claw there, and that allowed me to get to another Body Slam, which allowed me to take switch here with Lickitung versus Guzzlord, which is great now, because I can get my Gligar aligned to his Charjabug. However, it's a Cresselia in the back. So he was ABA strong versus my AZUMARILL. So smart play by West there, by the way, to give up switch with Guzzlord. Had he shielded there, I think my Gligar would have had some potential for a sweep, but now it is definitely much harder, as that Cresselia was able to farm down my, what was it again, the Lickitung, and get energy, which put my Azu just in a very bad spot here. Another Grass Knot gets fired. He's had another one already. I couldn't get to two players even. Just so tough. Gonna get to another one now. I shielded up that attack though. I was considering no shielding, but I figured getting off the Spay was worth it. Then switching into Gligar. Could have also considered letting my AZUMARILL go down, like having them fire another Grass Knot, but they would be able to farm up to pretty much 100 energy before throwing that. I no shield a bait, which is great. Out comes Charjabug now. I'm gonna go for Aerial Ace, because I think he's not gonna shield, but I know Dig plus Farm Down is not enough to take out the Charjabug, so I go for double Aerial Ace instead. Throw another one now, because again, I don't think I can dig and then farm down. So I go for that. The Cresselia is already at a grass knot, so I have to no-shield this. I have to no-shield this and hope it doesn't do enough. But unfortunately, it did. Unfortunately, it did enough to where I can't build up to double areaways. Gonna go for the areaways here. I switch it to Azu, hoping to get a bubble down. But he actually fires off an attack, and again, he has a grass knot loaded. So I can't shield that. I can't shield that. I just have to hope I can like survive enough side cuts to get to an areaways. But unfortunately, I cannot, and I lose that game. Well played by West there. GG. All right, game number 3. Maybe go a little stronger versus that Guzzlord, I would think. Maybe bring Charjabug back, because he doesn't seem to enjoy bringing the Skeledirge. But actually, I'm expecting the Skeledirge again. So I just bring the same line. Actually, I bring the same line, but with Lickitung lead instead of Azumarill. And it works out well here, as I do lead my Lickitung into the Cresselia. I figure that if he's playing Guzzlord, he's gonna bring it in the back. So bringing Lickitung in the lead is not too bad. Future Sight Cresselia actually doesn't have a bad matchup here. Future Sight Cresselia actually wins, I believe, 0s and 1s. So this is technically a losing lead for me. But if I use 2 shields, I can win here. If I shoot Future Sights especially, this is very fine for Lickitung. So this is okay. I know this is just a grass knot, so I'm gonna let it go. If they would have gone to Future Sight and would have thrown the Body Slam right before to take a shield or take switch. But now that's grass knot, I can just load up. We farm all the way down, load up on Body Slams. Out comes Guzzlord now. Unfortunately, this energy is really not gonna go anywhere. Because, I mean, it is gonna go somewhere. We will put the Guzzlord into the yellow, but it does nothing for me. Because I'm gonna take this out with a player off anyway. And for a player off to knock out, it does not matter whether the Guzzlord is at 100% HP or like 40%. So I was kind of considering saving those Body Slams and switching out, but I knew it was likely going to be Charjabug in the back or Skeledirge maybe. In that case, I really needed the alignment. So I decided to just throw those Body Slams into the Guzzlord, take some health, and now I have the alignment the way I want it. Gligar versus Charjabug. Charjabug shield up though, which is not great, but should be fine. Even baited with an areaways. Honestly, again, I just figured I wanted the damage, and them shielding put me in a great spot, because then I am able to pretty much double dig. He actually lets this go, try to call another bait. But no, I went straight for dig. Now I can bubble down the Charjabug, and Guzzlord can really do nothing here anymore. I go for the Ice Beam, because at this point it is enough. I guess that is nice about the 2 Body Slams, because now I only need an Ice Beam to knock out. West knows it's over, pretty much concedes by no shielding, and that's a good game. And I go 4-0 in the Swiss, giving me the top seed for the single elimination top cut. As the only undefeated player in the Swiss rounds, I do get a little bit of an advantage going into the top cut, which is that I'll be paired against the lowest seeded player in round number 1, which unfortunately in this case wasn't really an advantage, as I'm up versus my friend Inadequence. We did a bit of practice going into this tournament, so we already played each other with these same teams, and honestly I'm not too big of a fan of this matchup. He's running a team with Sableye, Cresselia, a Lantern with Spark, Talonflame, Abomasnow running Icy Wind, and Vigoroth. On first sight, my Charjabug is very good here. Really doesn't have any like great answers. But the thing is, his best answer, Talonflame, also does quite good into my team, which I really only have Azumarill for. And for Azumarill, he has 3 answers in Abomasnow, Cresselia, Lantern. So overall, I felt that this matchup was pretty RPS. But if I can leverage my Charjabug enough, I should be kind of okay here. And he should know that. I'm expecting him to know that, of course, to come prepared for the Charjabug. So in game number 1, I decide to bring Charjabug in the back instead of the lead. I thought he would expect a Charjabug in the lead, so maybe lead Talonflame, so I decided to lead Lickitung, as Lickitung is a pretty solid lead into everything but Vigoroth. And I end up leading into Vigoroth game number 1. I pivot Charjabug, but he was prepared for it, so I brought out Talonflame. I go for Discharge here. This is still not too bad, as I will be able to get a shield advantage here. Inadequence actually ends up making a major mistake there, and he allows me to throw my second Discharge before he fires off a charge attack there. He's going 2 shields down, but he has switched, so he will still get that Vigoroth aligned to my Lickitung. Could go an Azumarill here to bubble down, but I mean, at this point, I have to hope that Azumarill can sweep, because my Lickitung is pretty much useless versus that Vigoroth. I'm surprised Martine is going for double Flame Charge here. I'm pretty sure double Fly would do more damage. but maybe I'm wrong. Get a lick down there. I'm gonna be able to body slam before switching into my AZUMARILL. Out comes Cresselia. Oh my goodness. This is one of the worst. I would really like to see a Abomasnow here, but with Vigoroth lead, it probably wasn't gonna happen. So between Cresselia and Lantern, this is probably the better of the two, but Cresselia is still so bulky that this is likely impossible. 2 play roughs just aren't gonna be enough, and Cresselia way outpaces AZUMARILL, and if he just hits 1 grass on my AZUMARILL, game is likely over. Gonna go for another play rough here. So put the Cresselia in range for a body slam, which is important, because if I can pull off a switch and body slam snipe, I might be okay, but at this point, even if I get that, Vigoroth still has a lot of play versus AZUMARILL, so probably still not possible. I probably made a mistake here, threw 3 bubbles and then switched, which did give him like a turn of like time to react to the body slam, which he did, so good reflexes by Martine. But even if I hit that body slam, I don't think it would have been possible, because Vigoroth just farms down my Lickitung at that point after I take out the Cresselia and gets the 2 body slams anyway. So unfortunately, even though Martine kind of misplayed in the mid game there by letting me go 2 shields up, the RPS was just too big and I lose that match. GG. Oh, by the way, before we continue, this is a best of 5. All top cut matches are best of 5, so we've done 1 game down now. Still maybe have 4 games to make up for it, so it's okay. Game number 2, I'm playing the exact same line. I'm not expecting him to expect that, so that's why I'm doing that. And it's Lickitung into Abomasnow lead. This may seem like a decent, like, neutral matchup for me. Generally, Lickitung would beat Abomasnow, but Martine Inadequate's brought pretty spicy moveset here with Icy Wind. Generally, people still prefer Shadow Abomasnow with Weather Ball on it in this meta, but I think Inadequate is the right idea here with the Icy Wind Abomasnow, because it makes Abomasnow so much better in neutral matchups like this Lickitung matchup, which I will now lose. And again, this matchup is pretty RPS, so not feeling too good about this. I could have decided to shield this and maybe lick down, but at that point, he probably just brings in Talonflame, incinerates me all the way down, and I lose it anyway. So I'm kind of hoping that with a Abomasnow lead, it's like not a super hard AZUMARILL answer in the back. That AZUMARILL's pretty good, but no, it's Lantern, and yeah, I can play rough this. That's what I'm doing, just chipping it, hoping he maybe shields, because I'm expecting Talonflame, right? So I kind of need a shield here for Chargebug to do something, but no. Yeah, it does end up being Talonflame. But again, I could have maybe shielded Lickitung, lick down, but I'm gonna be 2 stages debuffed. He's gonna farm down my Lickitung with Talonflame. I can bring in Azu versus Talonflame at that point, but Azu versus Talonflame is still not that good versus Talonflame, especially when Talonflame is energy, and there's a shield up, and then there's Lantern shield up versus Chargebug as well. And Lantern is actually kind of tough for my team. Besides Chargebug, I really have nothing. Well, I guess I do have Lickitung, Alolan Sensation, and Gligar too. Like, I have nothing that really loses to Lantern besides the Azumarill and Poliwrath. But Lantern does have the capability of beating everything, especially a shield up. So that combination, shield up, I probably would not have been able to deal with. So yeah, unfortunately, kind of another lost lead. So in game 3, I pick Sandslash, not expecting to lose a lead this time, but it's the worst freaking lead possible. And at that point, I look at Martine, and I'm like, okay, GG, dude. That's unfortunate, for me at least. Congrats on your win. But he's not switching out of this matchup instantly. He actually throws a Body Slam with Vigoroth. I waited a turn there, by the way, making sure he can't catch X-Scissor on Talonflame or something, which actually allows him to get an extra spark. So not ideal, but at least I didn't throw an X-Scissor on Talonflame. I'm using Lantern. And I think I may be able to flip switch here. And if I can flip switch and get my Azumarill aligned to the Vigoroth, I may be in an okay position here. So I'm going to start shielding. First Surf comes out now. Yeah, I can throw another Volt Switch here. Throw the X-Scissor. This point, they're like 6 sparks away from double Surf, I believe. So, or maybe 5. 4 now. So should be able to throw 2 Volt Switches, knock out the Lantern before he gets another Surf. Which I tried to do. Martine actually makes a very good move there, throws 3 sparks and saves the Lantern for later. Because he didn't take that X-Scissor, he may be able to still get to a Surf later on in the game, which is kind of scary. So good play there. I bring in my AZUMARILL. Just gonna take these body slams from Vigoroth. Bubble, buff. Really helps out here. Should be able to just fully bubble down. I'm gonna take a couple body slams though, which is okay. Oh, Rock Slide here. That's slightly more than a body slam. Fully bubbled down. The Lantern is still healthy. If he brought it in, I would have had to throw an attack. Out comes Cresselia though, which is amazing. Shadow Claw Alolan Sash just does very well here. He actually shoots a play rough there. I can't really dip here. Because the thing is, if I dip into Alolan Sandslash now, he may be able to bring in Lantern and get to that Surf. Because he's like 1 spark away, right? So I pretty much have to stay in with AZUMARILL here. It's kind of worried he would undercharge his Grass Knot and get a Psycho Cut down. But luckily he fully charges, which allows me to bring in Alolan Sandslash now. I'm not really threatened. Out comes Lantern. Quickly switching to Charger Bug. Farm down, have an X-Scissor loaded. This will already do a lot of damage on Cresselia. Takes a huge chunk of health. Bring out Alolan Sandslash, and I will be able to take this game. Totally unexpected. Bring it back to 2-1. Just need to win 2 more games without losing anything to move on to the finals here. But yeah, game number 4. Again, pick up another horrible lead. Poliwrath. I think I finally bring Poliwrath because he keeps bringing Vigoroth. He keeps bringing Bulbasaur in the lead. I'm like, I'm done with it. I bring Poliwrath. Maybe a mistake. He saw it coming. He brings the Lantern in the lead. Again, I pivot Charger Bug, entirely expecting to get answers by the Talonflame again. But no. No Talonflame again. Brings out the Vigoroth. I don't think I'll be able to flip switch this time, because Vigoroth is just too spammy, and a Body Slam will knock me out at this point. But maybe I can take a shield. If he shoots this, I will be able to flip switch. Or if he no-shoots that, I will be able to just shoot once, full switch down. Or maybe shoot twice, full switch down. So he actually shoots that. Puts me in a shield advantage now, which is great. Because now I can bring in Poliwrath. Farm down the Vigoroth all the way. And get close to an attack to throw out something later. Yeah, not quite enough farm for an attack. Once Lantern comes in, I'm actually going to farm up to a Scald. And then dip out into Lickitung. I want to have that Scald loaded, just in case I need to snipe something with it later. Right, and this counter damage also puts Lantern closer to Power Whip range for later. So yes, I'm gonna let this go because I'm expecting him to Surf, and I think there's something in the back that's gonna deal more damage to my Lickitung than just the Surf. So that's why I let that go, even though I have 2 shields. Out comes Sableye, and this puts me in a decent spot. He no-shoots a Power Whip, which is incredible. At this point, I could throw a Power Whip before he gets to another foul play. But instead, what I decide to do is just attempt to go for a full lick down. Because if I get a full lick down, I should be either at double Power Whip or close enough to where I should be able to outpace the Lantern to double Power Whip before it gets to another Surf. So that's why I decided to just double shield here, lick all the way down, and now I'm super close to double Power Whip. Just gonna go straight for it. I'm actually already there. My only loose con here is him calling a Body Slam bait. And he knows his only win con is calling a Body Slam bait. So even though I had no reason to go for like a bait, he no-shoots anyway, because that's his only win con. So good play by him there, but unfortunately, Lickitung is too strong. Takes out the Lantern. GG. Now lost pretty much 4 leads in a row. And I finally win one in game number 5. And I'm feeling good. I'm playing, by the way, the ID behind this team, Charger Bug, Azu, Alolan Sandslash, was pretty much win the lead with Charger Bug. I was like, okay, I'm done with... I really thought he would be expecting Charger Bug lead more, which is why I keep having it in the back. But I really thought he would expect it in the lead and not play Pokemon weak to it in the lead. But he has been doing that the entire time. So I was done. Just bring it now. Luckily, I do catch something in the lead that's good for it. But I bring AZUMARILL Alolan Sandslash in the back because that's a good core. So the idea here was... lead Charger Bug, AZUMARILL Alolan Sandslash in the back, RPS the back. That's the ID. If it's Talonflame in the lead, I would lose that in 2s, but then Alolan Sandslash avoids the Talonflame. So I felt like this line made a lot of sense. There is Lantern in the lead, which is a lead I should be able to win. So I'm feeling good about this. I'm feeling very good about this. The only thing that could beat me here right now is if there's 2 answers to Alolan Sandslash in the back. But that'd be crazy, right? That'd be crazy. Okay, I make a mistake here. All right, I make a mistake here. I knew I was gonna shoot the next Surf, and I still throw the X-Scissor immediately because I wanted to put pressure on him to maybe put up the first shield. That would have been nice. But the X-Scissor does not knock out, so he didn't shield. X-Scissor did not knock out, and I was fine with this at the point because I was like, okay. I can just farm it down. But Martijn makes a very smart play, switching to Talonflame, because Talonflame with shield up is very good against me. And now I have very little energy. I have to throw 2 Volt Switches, then discharge, and my Charge Bug is basically useless now. Had I just over-farmed versus the Lantern, like even more, like through like 3 more Volt Switches before throwing my X-Scissor, I would have put him in a tougher spot, and he wouldn't have been able to switch into Talonflame as freely. So should have just waited with throwing the attack. Anyway, I bring out Azu here versus the Talonflame. As you can see, Talonflame still has so much play here. Still has so much play. He's gonna get to another fly, put me into the red. I won't even be able to farm this down, which just makes things worse. I know he's going to be able to switch in Lantern here, but I have an Alolan Sandslash. I can't no-shield that, right? I can't no-shield. I just have to. I just have to, you know, I have to shoot my Azumarill to take out the Lantern and hope there's something in the back that my Alolan Sandslash can beat. And I'm actually talking to Martijn. Martijn in eloquence was like, what do you have in the back? And I'm like, something that loses hard to that Vigoroth you got. Because at this point, with the way he played it, I knew it was going to be Vigoroth. And I knew it was game over. So, unfortunately, even though I had the lead there, the back lines just didn't align properly. I don't know what else I could have done here, to be honest. Maybe I should have played... I mean, obviously, I should have played a different Pokemon in the back. Like, maybe Poliwrath. But if I play Poliwrath, I, like, lose to Cresselia, right? If I play Gligar, I will lose to Abomasnow. So... ultimately, that final match, I feel like came down to a team comp call, and Martijn in eloquence made a better one. So, congrats to him. GG's. Very nice best of 5 set, to be honest. Overall, with some very good games there. So, very happy with that. Martijn moves on to the finals now. I actually haven't, like, quite gained nothing from this tournament, by the way. Because I was top 4, I gained a grand total of 32 championship points because it was a League Cup. So that's quite nice. Martijn is in the finals though, fighting for that grand prize of 50 championship points. And he has a video on his run on his YouTube channel as well. So I'll put the link to that down in the description. Go check it out. It's a great one. It's definitely a great one. So go watch it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, leave a sub. Really appreciate that, and hope to see you in the next one. Good luck with your battles, trainers.